Hello and welcome to my channel. So I will show you how to write a good user story for part 2. For those who not yet watch for the last video of part 1, so I will attach the link here so you can review back, and today I will display for the rest of the slide. So we continuously for how can we write a good user story. So we should understand the users. As you know, user stories, it means a story for users. So we need to understand for users. You need to discover and study the real user of your product, capture their profiles, points of view, expectation, and the associate pain points. No matter the techniques, you need to set up the key users, ideally in the form of personas, before you start compiling user stories. So let's move to some examples. So for this example, for this persona, for this person shown D, so he cared deeply about animal rights and to help them live happier life. So about him, John is a graduated student and he cared deeply about animals' rights. He spare his own time to volunteer at the local animal shelter and to promote pet adoption. He wishes to order some design artifacts to raise awareness at his school. So this one is his information: age, occupation, income status, and location, and what he needs and what his frustration for, and what is his social media activity, and what is his current feelings. He feels stressed, he feels concerned, he feels busy, and what is his personality. So let's move to the next example. So this lady is the person who not have a lot of money, who early 20s, who live in London, UK, who have BA degree, who good in vocabulary, and who's a fashion concise. And for the attitudes, he worry about not expanding, and he motivated about having content no one else has. And for his goal, he would like to increase the audience. He would like to have more engaging social platforms, and he would like to, and she would like to getting paid to promote others. And for her quote, she said that I'm excited to be different and pioneering. And so far for another quote, and this one is her name. So far, as you can see, the persona is for you should have the list of interviews for who will use for your product. For example, if I make the product for healthcare, and I should point out who will use for my products, for example, doctors, nurses, or patients. And based on that, I will gather the information of the users who use for my product. And I understand, for example, if the doctors who's very good in technique, so I can use a very high technology, and I can use a high technology UI. It means that something is a little bit difficult to use, but who use mostly for the products, for the apps, for the websites on social media daily, and they will get used to that. But for the doctor or the nurses who are not really used to techniques, who are not really used to social media, then you need to make something really user friendly. It's been very simple. The big button, every step need to be very detailed in the way of simple way. Go directly to that way. You don't need to let them choose a lot of options. You help them to select on. So based on the persona, based on the list like this, then you will understand how to write a good user story. At least then you point out which function that need to this kind of customer, this kind of user. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. Think as a user. After you have persona, you can understand how specific user things expect for your projects. This is of critical importance. The product owner and the entire team need to think from a user point of view and understand the underlying needs and the expected value. So you can see mostly for the development team, they usually think about the way to do that, the way to make it quotable. It's something like they can quote it, but the important way is what user really need. So think as a user, you don't need to pay attention too much in how can they do that, what technique they will use to do that. You just think as a user. User need for this part, the purpose for this user story is like this, and for the product, finally we try to provide users the way to use it and the way to use it easily. So you need to think as a user from user point of view. So of course you need to think big and use epic. A good practice is to think big, the big picture, and let crazy user stories enter to backlog. Epics can take the form of higher level stories, which describe large pieces of functionality. They typically require a significant amount of work across multiple sprints. It means that the epic is just something like a features. For example, like if I say something like search features for Google, you can imagine this one is just like a very big epic, and inside the search features in Google you have many small user stories inside. For example, like search for the homepage for Google, search after you have already searched. It means that the bar after you have the list of answer below, and when you typing something there, and it will have some suggestions for you to select on, something like that. It's very small stories inside, but the epic is something really big cover for everything. So you can see based on the diagram epic here, and just make you to image easily. I will say something like epic is just like features, but actually epic is bigger than the features. It means that something is very big, but not big like the product, Epic is, for example, like search features, and inside it's like search in homepage, search is the list of category, or search is the list of product, or something like that is features. And below features is the product backlog item, or we can say user stories. You got this point, right? We can use product backlog item in Scrum framework, and we can use user story in Azure framework. And we have tasks below to the user story, or we have bug, and then we have tasks here. And of course we will have the impediment for issue tracking here. Of course this only for the diagram, for the way to manage for, and you can see the level how big epic is. It doesn't mean that for your own projects, for your own product, you also need to set up like this, but it's good to follow this chart. Yep. Okay, I will move to next slide. This one is some examples I collect for you. So let's see for this user story. As a role, I want to go so that the benefits and acceptance criteria. Remember, every user story need to have the acceptance criteria. It's like the condition or the description what you expect for this user story. For example, as an account manager, I want a sales report of my account to be sent to my inbox daily, so that I can monitor the sales progress of my customer portfolio. So that is the purpose. It's just like the title. And the acceptance criteria is the report is sent daily to my inbox. And number 2 is the report contains the following cell detail, blah blah blah. And number 3 is the report is in CSV format. So you got this point. It's like the checklist for what you expect for this user story, for this title, and then based on this description for your expectation, then the dev team will implement based on this. And of course, the QC will write test cases based on the acceptance criteria for this part to cover fulfillingly for your expectation for the user story. And let's move to the next example. User story for withdrawing cash. The user story is a regular fintech app user. I want to withdraw cash from my bank account using a fintech mobile app, so I can easily draw out cash even without using my card. And acceptance criteria is user can log in to the mobile app. User can enter the desired amount of withdrawal. This desired amount is within the user current balance. Accounts are updated after validation, and email and in-app confirmation of transaction are sent to the user. As you can see, this one is also quite easy for you to know for which part then inside the a new user story after it finish, and then which part will finish together, and also which part the QC need to cover. They need to test for login, they need to test for enter the desired amount, they need to test for the desired amount is within the current balance. If it's more than the current balance, then what should happen? And the email and information confirmation will send to the user after it finish, something like that. And some example for poor user story, the way to make user story but in the poor way is mean that it's not good at all. So let's see. As an Instagram user, I want to share image, videos and stories so that I can keep in touch with my friends. And better examples, as a socially active person, I want to be able to share pictures of my life so I can update and stay in touch with my friends online event. It means that you give the idea and you let the development team the room to work on this to make it become true. It means that what to do that, how can they finish that, what technique they use for this, they will discuss, and then they will show you inside the user story, and they will discuss together with you. It's not like you show them totally what they should do, what technique they should do. And go to number 3. As a website visitor, I want to see buttons reach on hover, so I can see that they clickable or inactive. So a good example is I a website visitor, I want to be able to find a listing I need quickly so that I don't have to waste time browsing. And this example just like the example above, right? And as a project manager, I want to be able to track an employee's progress so I can do my job better. And better examples for this is, as a project manager, I want to keep on an eyes on my teammates' progress so I can report on their works and offer help if need or if necessary, of course. And it's just the way to describe, you don't need to think like you are the developers. You need to think as a user. You describe for what you need. Again, I just remind again for this. So you understand for a better example, it means that you understand the good a better way to write for your own user story. So I will go to the final example. As a product owner, I want to see my metrics so that I know if things are going well. So it should be, as a product owner, I want to be able to quickly and easily see the key product metrics so that I can access the progress and spot any change immediately. So you provide more details in this case, and you provide the point of view for you as a users. So this one is just like you need to practice more, and from time to time you will come from a very bad user story to a bad user story, from good enough user story from a good user story. So it's the time of practicing. And I hope that based on some examples here, you can see and you can learn the way you manage for your own user story. So at least you need to show up the purpose for user and give the value for every user story you make. So this one is question and answer. I believe that this is the end for our slide already. So I would like to see for some question. If you have, you can add below for this video, or you can chat directly to me, or you also can add the question to my post on LinkedIn and Facebook account, and I will try to set up the place to answer for all of your questions regarding to user story. So thank you so much for your listening.